Shelby, what do we know about this this morning, and what are companies doing to contain this outbreak?
Yeah, well, Betty, this is basically the PR nightmare just keeps on going. We find out this morning, just hours after President Obama spoke to calm the nation about Ebola, we find out a Dallas healthcare worker is on a Carnival cruise ship in the Caribbean. Now, Carnival released a statement saying this person is in voluntary isolation. The person is not showing symptoms of Ebola. It's more of a PR scare right now than a health scare. But it's certainly elevating concerns about traveling, and it's coming after news that Amber Vinson, the second Dallas nurse to get Ebola, may have been sick and traveling sick much earlier than we thought. So
she would have been infectious then?
She could have been, and therefore, as a precaution, Frontier Airlines is notifying hundreds of passengers that flew on her plane after she traveled to Cleveland.
The CDC says these passengers, they shouldn't be traveling, but can they do anything about it?
Yeah, that's the big question. So I've been speaking to law professors. They say that the state health officials usually take the lead on things like quarantines and travel restrictions. The CDC does have the power to issue a do not board list. There was a lot of talk about that this week that would prevent some of these healthcare workers from traveling while they're being monitored for symptoms. But it may not prevent them from getting on cruise ships. So, enforcing these kind of things is very difficult. And this person on the cruise ship left from Galveston, so they never even got on an airplane. It's really difficult to monitor and track them. And it's also a big restraint on civil liberties. This is a group of about 50 people.
Yes.
And these law professors said it would be unprecedented for the government to issue a do not board list or restrict them from traveling.
And speaking about travel, Nina Pham, who is that nurse who's recovering,
yes,
she was transferred to a hospital in Maryland overnight. And there's video of that online, is that right?
Yes. Before she traveled to Maryland, her doctors in Texas actually did a little interview with her in her hospital room. She looks great. It was very emotional. There were a few tears shed. But it was great to see on Twitter after she was leaving the hospital. There were tons of nurses out supporting her as she was pulling away. And she's received a lot of support on social media as well.
Well, can you imagine the panic if, in fact, she took a turn for the worse?